At exactly 2:13 a.m., her head dropped forward, and the first quiet snore escaped her mouth. The office was silent, except for a faint hum of fluorescent lights and the soft buzz of winter wind against the windows. I slowly reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and dialed the office line using a private number. The phone rang loudly beside her. She jolted awake instantly, her eyes wide with panic, her breathing sharp and confused. She looked around, disoriented, trying to understand what had just happened. I stayed perfectly still, pretending to focus on my screen. Because just 2 nights earlier, this same woman had tried to destroy my career for doing the exact same thing. If you've ever had someone betray you, try to sabotage you, or report you just to feel powerful, then this story will hit deep. Hit like, subscribe, and stay until the end, because this is one of the most quietly satisfying revenge stories you'll ever hear. This happened back when I was 24 years old, living in Edmonton, Alberta. Winters that didn't just feel cold. They felt personal. The kind of cold that made your bones ache and your thoughts slow down. The kind of cold that made survival itself feel like work. I had landed a job at a commercial security dispatch center. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid well, and the schedule was incredible. We worked 4 days on, 12 hours per shift, then 4 days off. That meant half the month was mine. At that age, it felt like freedom. The dispatch center itself was quiet most nights. Rows of desks, glowing monitors, muted radios, and endless hours of watching, waiting, and responding if something happened. Most nights, nothing happened. My closest coworker was a woman named Claire. She was 26, sharp-witted, sarcastic, and had the kind of loyalty you rarely find in workplaces. We became friends quickly. The kind of friendship built through shared boredom, midnight coffee runs, and surviving endless quiet nights together. But then there was Margaret. Margaret was in her mid-50s, and from the moment I met her, there was a heaviness around her. She didn't smile. She didn't joke. She didn't connect. She watched people the way a prison guard watches inmates. Always observing. Always judging. She didn't just dislike people. She seemed to resent them for existing comfortably. One night, she casually told us a story that made my stomach turn. She laughed while describing how she had tricked a Muslim coworker years ago into eating pizza with pork on it without telling him. Claire looked horrified. I felt a wave of disgust rise inside me. That's actually incredibly evil, I told her quietly. Margaret didn't apologize. She didn't look ashamed. She just shrugged like it meant nothing. That moment told me everything I needed to know about her character. Working 12-hour overnight shifts was exhausting. Anyone who has worked nights understands the slow psychological toll it takes. Your body fights against you. Your eyelids grow heavy. Your thoughts become slower. Your energy fades. Claire and I developed an unspoken system. If the night was quiet, one of us would close our eyes for 10 or 15 minutes while the other stayed alert watching the phones. Then we would switch. It was controlled, responsible, necessary. Nothing ever went wrong. But we never did that when Margaret was there. Because Margaret wasn't just a coworker. She was a watcher. One night, during one of the coldest weeks of winter, exhaustion hit me harder than usual. The office was silent. The lights hummed overhead. My body felt heavy, like gravity itself had increased. I sat back in my chair, telling myself I'd just rest my eyes for a moment. The next thing I knew, the phone was ringing. I woke up instantly, my heart racing. I answered the call professionally, handling it like nothing had happened. But when I looked up, Margaret was staring directly at me. She wasn't angry. She wasn't concerned. She was satisfied. Her eyes held a quiet victory. She didn't say a word. But I knew. The next night, our supervisor called Claire and me into the office. He looked uncomfortable. Margaret reported that you fell asleep during your shift, he said. My stomach tightened. This was it. This was how careers ended. But then something unexpected happened. Our general manager, a calm, practical woman named Denise, leaned back in her chair and said something that changed everything. They handle their responsibilities. Their shifts run smoothly. I don't care if someone closes their eyes for a few minutes as long as the work gets done. Margaret's attempt to destroy me had failed, but the damage was done. She had tried. She had watched me, waited, and reported me, not because anything went wrong, but because she wanted power. She wanted control. She wanted to feel superior. I didn't confront her. I didn't argue. I didn't complain. But something inside me shifted. 2 nights later, Margaret started her shift with us again. The office was freezing. The heater struggled against the brutal Canadian winter outside. Hours passed slowly. Midnight became 1 a.m. Then 2 a.m. That's when I heard it. A soft snore. I looked over. Margaret's head had dropped forward. She was asleep. For a moment, I just watched her. This was the same woman who had tried to sabotage me. The same woman who had watched me like prey. And now she was vulnerable. I reached slowly into my pocket, pulled out my phone, dialed the office line, using a private number. The phone rang loudly beside her. She exploded awake instantly, gasping, confused, embarrassed. She answered it quickly, trying to regain control. There was no one there. She looked around suspiciously. I kept working, silent. 10 minutes later, it happened again. Her head dropped. Another snore. I dialed again. Ring. She woke again. Confused. Frustrated. This continued all night. Every time she fell asleep, the phone rang. Every time she drifted away, reality pulled her back. She never rested. She never escaped. She never found peace. By the end of the shift, she looked exhausted, broken, silent. She never reported me again. She never reported Claire. She never watched us with those predatory eyes again. Because now she understood something. She was no longer the watcher. She was being watched. Margaret never confronted me. She never accused me. But her behavior changed completely. The power she thought she had was gone. She stopped trying to control others. She stopped trying to sabotage people. She learned the same lesson she tried to teach me. What it feels like to be vulnerable. What it feels like to be powerless. What it feels like to lose control. I never raised my voice. I never filed a complaint. I never needed revenge through confrontation. Sometimes, the most powerful revenge is simply allowing someone to experience the consequences of their own behavior. After that night, she never tried to hurt anyone again. If this story gave you satisfaction, hit like and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, have you ever had a coworker betray you like this? And what would you have done?